This is my fourth year of covering the NFL draft here on YouTube, and I want to do things a little bit differently. The previous 2 years, I tried to do one video for every single team, handing out grades for every single pick with in-depth analysis, and it hasn't gone the way I wanted it to. The year before last, it took way too long to get done, and last year, because of circumstances that were out of my control, I didn't even get to get done. So instead of doing all that, instead of talking about potentially negative things with the NFL draft, I decided this year I want to go full positivity and just talk about my favorite pick from each NFL team. Now, we're not going to be talking about first rounders in this video because that's way too easy. I could just talk about every first round pick for pretty much every team. There's a couple teams where that would be an exception. But I instead want to talk about the day 2, day 3 guys, really get into the weeds of some of the non-household names that got picked this year, and talk about guys that I'm a really big fan of, guys that I want to see succeed in the league, guys that I think can succeed in the league. And so I figured this was the best way to do that. We're going to go division by division for all 32 teams, 8 videos over the course of the next week or so, talking about, my favorite pick for each team, like I said. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this and talk about my favorite pick from every team in the AFC South. We're going to start off the AFC South here with the most controversial team in this division for the 2026 NFL Draft. Of course, I'm talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars, who everyone and their mother pretty much said had the worst draft in the league. They made a lot of really questionable decisions, there were a lot of reaches, but there was one shining diamond in the rough, right? And that was Emmanuel Pregnon, the guard out of Oregon, who they ended up picking up towards the end of the 3rd round. And I understand, older prospect, I don't care. Pregnon was the second best guard in this class, in my opinion, the second best overall interior offensive lineman, and it blows my mind that he fell this far. Now, I do have some theories. Obviously, the age, he didn't test super well, and he's not like this can't-miss perfect prospect or anything like that, but the few issues he does have are very coachable. So I look at this as Jacksonville getting very good value on a guy that I thought was a top 30 player in the class here towards the end of the 3rd round. And again, their draft class wasn't that great, but this could prove to be like a major exception, right? This could be the Satoru Gojo of the Jaguars draft class in 2026, where we look back in 5 years, we say, wow, that was a terrible, terrible draft by Jacksonville, with the sole exception of Emmanuel Pregnon. Like, this is a great pick. We're talking about a guy who is 6'4", 314 pounds, and I think moves a lot better than his testing would suggest. You watch him at Oregon, he was firing out of his stance, he was climbing to the 2nd level, he was getting out in space. He can move. He's not some statuesque guard. He's not like Tyler Booker coming out of Alabama last year, where you ask him to move and you might as well run the play in slow motion, right? He's not that type of player. He has good movement skills. The testing wasn't great, but I don't care. The tape doesn't lie. He can move when it matters. And additionally, he has good play strength, very high IQ as a pass blocker. You do see some lapses from time to time, which is a little concerning, but that is something that is very coachable because you see him register things and read out blitzes and things like that semi-consistently. It's just that his lapses are really bad. So if you can get the consistency to be more consistent, for lack of a better word, then you're talking about a very intelligent pass blocking guard. He has very strong, active hands that allow him to fight off defenders as a pass blocker. He has a very good anchor. He can mirror, like he is a well-rounded, pure pass protector, right? And in the run game, again, he can get out in space, he can move, he has enough strength to hold up at the point of attack. There are some issues with him climbing to the 2nd level, not in terms of the movement ability, but in terms of his targeting system. There are a lot of times where you will see him miss a linebacker and you're like, dude, like, what are we doing here? We know you can hit that guy. Why are we not hitting that guy? And that is frustrating, and perhaps that did contribute to the fall, but it's very coachable. It's very, very coachable. We see him pull off the good version of that, where he does hit that linebacker and opens up a lane for the running back. So you know it's in there, you know he's smart enough to register what he sees, you just need him to do it consistently. And thankfully he's going to Jacksonville, where their offensive line, specifically their 2 guards, aren't like terrible players. They have good starting players that can give Pregnon time to grow on the bench a little bit. You've got Ezra Cleveland, you've got Patrick McCarry. These are 2 quality starters. That being said, I think Pregnon can surpass them. I think he can be an even better player than those 2 guys. So I understand talking about a 24-year-old rookie and saying he needs a little time to develop isn't great, but it's not like we're saying he needs halfway through his rookie contract. He just needs like a year, if that even. He might be starting by the end of this year. Like, I really think Pregnon can be a damn good starter at guard in the NFL. He just needs a little bit of help. He needs a little bit of development. He's somebody that has what you want in terms of the athleticism, the size. He's got the demeanor. He loves playing through the whistle. He will bury dudes, which is great to see. And he's smart. He's coachable. He just needs a little bit of coaching. So You get that figured out, and I really do think you've got a second contract, if not 10-year starter at guard here. So I really like this pick in the third round. The value is great, the player's good, the fit's good, and I'm really excited to see how long it takes Jacksonville to get him on the field. Moving now to the Tennessee Titans, I had to go with Anthony Hill Jr., the linebacker out of Texas. And Hill is a player that I am a very big fan of. We're talking about a 21-year-old linebacker who is 6'2", just under 240 pounds, and ran a 4.5. So he's got like good size for a weak side linebacker, maybe a Mike, maybe. We'll have to see. I do think some development needs to be made there, and we'll talk about that in a second. But as it stands, he can be a starting weak side linebacker for you day one, in my opinion, because he has the athleticism and he's a tremendous cover player. He is, for a 21-year-old, way further along than you would expect in coverage, especially with his zone IQ and his route recognition. He does such a tremendous job of reading what is in front of him and feeling out the space around him in coverage. He also has really good like click and close ability. He's able to crash downhill when the ball is thrown. He's able to locate and latch onto defenders when he's in zone coverage. Like, he is such a good cover player. Now, there are some issues in man just because he isn't the most fluid guy in the world, but he can absolutely guard a linebacker. He can guard a running back or a tight end, from the linebacker spot. That's what I was trying to say. He has the athleticism and the smarts to be able to do that. So you're drafting a guy day one, you're going to plug him in as a cover player, and he is going to be super successful. Additionally, he has a very advanced pass rushing repertoire for an off-ball linebacker. You see some hand usage in there. You see like the tiniest little bit of bend. Like, he can get to the quarterback if you send him downhill. He also has enough play strength to blow up a running back if he's just shooting through the A gap. And then against the run, he can shoot gaps. But the problem was at Texas, he was really not asked to do that a whole lot. You know, he was more so asked to read and react to the run. And that is very much not ideal. Because when you get to the NFL level, you want your linebackers to crash downhill at all times, right? At least against the run. You know, because if they're not coming downhill, that's how you let a guy plant his foot, make a cut, get to the second level and beyond. If these guys are not filling their lanes, if they're not maintaining their gap discipline, that is going to create problems for your run defense. And Anthony Hill Jr. just was not asked to do that kind of stuff. Also, when he was asked to do it, he really struggled with taking on blocks and shedding blocks. And so there are legitimate concerns with him as a run defender. So you're probably wondering, well, you were just gassing him up as a cover player. He's not a good run defender. Why is this your favorite pick the Titans made? Well, it's because of who the coach is in Tennessee right now, being Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh has experience with linebackers like this. You look back at the 49ers, and a specific name comes to mind, Dre Greenlaw, who was drafted in 2019. He was a day 3 pick and developed into one of the better linebackers in the league there for a couple years until he got hurt. Robert Saleh had a hand in his development throughout his first 2 seasons because Saleh was the defensive coordinator at the time. So you take Dre Greenlaw, who I don't think coming out was as good of a prospect as Anthony Hill Jr. I really do think Anthony Hill Jr. can become a very, very good linebacker with Saleh's guidance. On top of that, this is a team that can afford to let him play while not worrying about the perfection of his game, so to speak. Basically, I'm trying to say the Titans aren't very good. We know they're not going to win anything, so they can throw him out there. He can get live reps, which is great for his development, going to be great for his recognition as a run defender and getting that practice and getting downhill instead of just waiting and reacting. And so that's a huge added benefit. So you can put Hill on the field as soon as week 1, let him be a tremendous cover player, get to the football, and then when it comes to the run defense, he can learn from the guys around him and from his coaching staff how to actually get downhill after the running back, make plays in the backfield, do things of that nature, which is super, super exciting. I really do think Hill can blossom into a very, very good off-ball linebacker for this football team with his athleticism, with his coverage ability, with his nose for the ball. He just needs to grow as a run defender, and he landed in the perfect spot to do that. So I love this pick. This was easily my favorite pick the Titans made. So with Hill, I'm super excited. I'm really, really intrigued to see if they will deploy him early or if they're going to have him pulled back, what the plan's going to be. But either way, I think he is going to be a damn good linebacker for the Tennessee Titans here within the next few years. Moving now to the Houston Texans. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this is some hot take or like I'm reinventing the wheel or anything like that. I'm just going to say Caden McDonald was a tremendous pick, as I'm sure we all agree, and I'm going to talk about it, because getting him with the 4th pick in the 2nd round is not only, in my opinion, good value, but also just a tremendous pickup for what the Texans needed. After the first night of the draft, I was honestly shocked that they did not take McDonald with their 1st round pick. I was not a Keelan Rutledge guy. I had a 3rd round grade on him. I thought that was a massive reach. And so turning around and getting McDonald here at the top of the 2nd round makes that pick easier to swallow. Because if you do the mental gymnastics of, okay, they got Caden McDonald at the end of the 1st round, and then they got Keelan Rutledge at the top of the 2nd when it seemed like teams were interested, that's a lot easier to swallow. That goes from like a C and an S to like an A and a B, right? Still wouldn't have been my favorite pick, but you get the point. It makes that pick better, in my opinion. And that's just the first thing we're taking a look at here. Second of all, you are addressing a position on your defensive line that maybe not right this second, but here in the next year or so will need to be addressed, and that is your nose tackle spot. Now, obviously, you have Sheldon Rankins, who has been holding down the fort and has been playing well, but he is on the older side and has been banged up and dinged up here and there and had some injury problems. And so who knows how long that's going to be a part of your defense, right? Like, who knows how long he's going to be with the Texans. And so you address that need now in a way that not only will help you a year or two down the road, but also can help you right this second. Because McDonald is ready to play. Like, you can put him in week 1, he's going to be a stout run defender, and he's going to benefit your defense. And that's huge because that means you can not minimize Rankins snaps. I don't want to make it seem like you're trying to get him off the field, but you can kind of pick and choose when you want to deploy him in a way that will preserve his health and make sure he's available for January. And getting into January with a nose tackle who is not only a stout run defender, but can get after the quarterback a little bit is huge. And on top of that, McDonald has a little bit of that pass rushing to his arsenal as well. And so getting to learn from Rankins and also learn from Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter can be huge for this defensive line. So you're opening up a lot of doors for this defense that are going to be greatly beneficial. McDonald is only 21, and again, I think he is going to step in right away as a truly stout nose tackle. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's 6'2", 326 pounds with a really good play strength, really good anchor. He can handle any assignment. He has very good run diagnostics and gap discipline. He's an effective two-gapper who can read running backs like a book. He can plug up holes consistently and had really good production as a true nose tackle his final year at Ohio State. You know, had a bunch of solo tackles. That's not something you usually expect from this position. And so he showed at Ohio State that he can be a very, very effective run defender. And given the way his skill set will translate or should translate on paper, I'm very excited to see how that's going to go. And then as a pass rusher, I mentioned he can push the pocket a little bit, has a solid bull rush, flashed a little bit of a swim move. Like, there could be something there if he gets caught on the field on a passing down. Now, that being said, I don't know how high the upside is going to be because he isn't a good athlete. Like, he's heavy-footed, doesn't have good speed, doesn't have good lateral agility, doesn't have a good first step. But that doesn't matter. You're not drafting him to be a 3 technique. You're not drafting him to be this consistent penetrator as a pass rusher. You're drafting him to plug up the middle and maybe push the pocket a little bit, right? And that is exactly what he's going to give you. I would like to see him get a little bit better at stacking and shedding as well, but again, he's 21 years old. That's very coachable. He's going to open up a lot for the guys on this defensive line and these linebackers. Azeez Al-Shaair, Henry Toa, these guys who come downhill and play the run, their job is going to be a lot easier having a guy like McDonald plugging up the middle. So this is a tremendous pick. This Texans defense is going to continue to be very, very good. And I really do think here within the next year or so, we're going to see that McDonald is going to be an instrumental piece in that defense being as good as it's going to be. And finally, we're going to wrap up this video with my favorite pick that an AFC South team made in this draft, which was AJ Halsey, the safety out of LSU, going to the Indianapolis Colts. And the reason I love this pick so much is because I have discovered I have a type when it comes to evaluating safeties. You know, when you do this for a handful of years, you start to kind of see the same faces in different people, so to speak. You find these archetypes for different positions, and some you end up favoring more than others, right? Some just kind of fit what you're looking for when you're evaluating. And I have noticed that for me, with safeties, the type I always gravitate toward is the non-super athlete safety who wins with high zone IQ and can beat guys to the punch, put themselves in position to win, not because they are out-athleting anybody, but because they are just smarter than a lot of the guys on the field. And last year was another prime example of this with Xavier Watts, someone I was super high on. He had a tremendous rookie season for the Falcons. The year before that, Tyler Nubin really stood out to me. Maybe not quite as good as Watts, but definitely a quality player. Historically, Xavier McKinney is a guy that stands out to me that was in that regard. He was a little bit before I was actually evaluating players, but I have always really enjoyed his game. And so now with Halsey, he is in that same mold. Now, I do think Halsey is a little bit better downhill than some of those other guys. He's a little bit more of a thumper. You know, he is somebody who can come down into the box, play that robber role, and light a guy up over the middle of the field or blow up a running back in the A-gap. He has that on top of being a super smart cover player. You know, we're looking at a guy who is just under 6 feet tall, 215 pounds, ran a 4.5. So again, not the most athletic guy in the world, but he does show good athleticism downhill. He has a strong, sturdy frame. He's a very quick mental processor who can consistently read out route combinations. He's a super high motor player who takes pride in his ability to come downhill against the run, plays with good patience and instincts and off-man coverage. He showed flashes of being able to carry tight ends in true man-to-man coverage. We'll have to see how that translates to the next level because he isn't like the most fluid guy in the world. His zone IQ is out of this world. He's at his best when he's able to watch things develop in front of him. I would say second only in this class to Caleb Downs, obviously, who was like the unicorn, best at everything safety. He has tremendous ball skills. He breaks on the ball very quickly and consistently. As a run defender, he's very smart. He consistently fills gaps, forces running backs to run into traffic. He explodes downhill with good instincts and power. He sorts through contact to get to the ball carrier consistently. And he was very versatile and consistent at LSU, lined up in different spots, wore different hats, did different things. You look at the defense he's going into here in Indianapolis with Lou Anarumo, there are a lot of similarities between Halsey and Von Bell, who had a very important role in that Bengals defense that went with the Bengals offense to the Super Bowl. I don't want to say that took them to the Super Bowl because that would be dishonest, but like was along for the ride and made some plays. So really, really like what you're getting with Halsey. Now, obviously, he isn't perfect. There's a reason he fell to the third round. You do look at the athleticism, the lack of fluidity. He can play a little bit too deep in off-man coverage at times. He will align himself too close to the sideline in split coverage, which can create some problems if they're attacking over the middle of the field downfield. He can get a little too focused on the QB's eyes, and his tackling needs to be cleaned up, but it's very coachable. Halsey is someone who consistently was going for that kill shot in college, which led to him missing damn near 16% of his tackles last year. Not great, but coachable. They just get into his head and say, hey man, we know you want to blow guys up. That's great. Learn to wrap. If he can wrap up a little bit, he is going to be a lot better off. So as your starter next to Cam Bynum, where Bynum is this tremendous, like pure cover safety, I think Halsey is going to be a very good complement, a very good player, a consistent starter for this defense. Definitely a second contract guy, if not longer. I am just super, super pumped to watch him with the Colts. He is somebody that is going to get me to tune into their games next year. So shout out to the Colts for getting him in the third round. I thought the value was great. You can see he was a top 25 player on my board. He was my safety 3 behind Caleb Downs and Dylan Thielman. So just a really, really good job by the Colts here getting him in the third round. But anyways, folks, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like down below, as it does help out the channel a ton. It shows your support, it shows you care, and I really do appreciate it. Also, make sure to let me know down in the comments below what your favorite pick was from each of the teams mentioned in this video. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Anything like that, I would love to hear your input down below. And definitely make sure to subscribe for more NFL content coming your way throughout the rest of the offseason. This series is probably going to be the last thing I do about the draft. I might do some assorted film breakdowns here and there. We'll have to see. But either way, there's going to be more football content throughout the summer, into the regular season and beyond, that you definitely won't want to miss. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to not miss out on any of it. And above all else, I hope you all have a wonderful day, evening, night, afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you enjoy it, because you're all wonderful people and you truly do deserve it. And also, happy Pride Month.
Had a chance on the throwback. This was an ill-advised throw. What an unbelievable catch by Cole Kmet. And he cups it too. No movement when he hits the ground, tucked up against his shoulder. Wow. Using that